Hello, everyone. Welcome to this discussion. We've been looking at the March core update. A lot of things have changed. We thought we'll bring in a friend, Swapnil Pate, who's the founder at GrowthSRC, to talk about the March core update, the impact of Google's algorithm changes with respect to AI generated content, and the impact that multiple people, publishers have faced over time. Swapnil, welcome to this talk we're having on AI generated content and Google Core Update impact. So, Swapnil, I think before I start, if you could quickly introduce yourself to the audience and what is it that you've been doing at Growth SRC.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here today, Aditya. So, just to give a quick background about Growth Source Media and myself. So, I've been in the SEO space for close to a decade now. Started my career working a lot with publishers, then slowly shifted our focus towards working a lot more with SaaS and e-commerce brands. And then we still do analyze the media and publication space. So, just to ensure what are the search changes that are happening, guiding a few publishers here and there. So that's what we have been. But yeah, and thank you for having us. And I think there couldn't be a better time to discuss this while everyone's still figuring out the changing navigation with the with probably the soon rollout of SGE as well within the
Yeah,
whole search landscape. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of lack of clarity. But I think addressing the larger core algorithm update and its impact and how do we navigate this further, I think that's something of high interest for publishers in today's world.
absolutely. Swapnil, we've covered like multiple topics. I think earlier we'd covered one on human generated content versus AI generated content, where I think both our participants, which is Ankur Pandey and Ankur Agarwal. Ankur Pandey runs Longshot AI, which does AI generated content, and Ankur has been a publisher for a long time. Agarwal was not in favor of AI, and even in our last conversation, you were pretty much not in favor of AI, primarily used to rank SEO. But we'd seen, or rather, you'd shown us that Google has changed its stance. Their documentation was slightly tweaked as well to showcase that Google would be fine with AI generated with content, no matter how it's generated, as long as they said it was helpful. But what's happening in March? We've seen like multiple websites that have as high as over 1 million visits every month from organic
Yeah.
going down to zero. So what's happened in March?
Yeah. So, I mean, what's happening around here is very confusing. There's some level of clarity that Google is providing on the updates that they are rolling out. But
Mhm.
for the larger part, there's still a lot of stuff to figure out. So, to start with, there are two things that have happened since the first week of March and specifically from March 5th onward. So, first thing, Google started rolling out their March 2024 core algorithm update, and this one is still rolling out as we speak. So Google has mentioned that it might take a month or so for this update to completely roll out, and the primary reason for this being that what they are trying to do or trying to tell us is that
Mhm.
this core algorithm update is a lot more complex than its previous updates, because there is one big change that they are introducing here, and that is incorporating helpfulness within the core algorithm update. So helpful content system will not be a standalone system as such, but rather it would be part of the larger, the core algorithm that Google is running for its search. And the algorithm will have its own parameters, albeit complex, which are not easy for us to understand, but that will lead a lot of the way in terms of how content will be judged in terms of its helpfulness to the users. Second thing, they also started rolling out the March 2024 spam update, and
Mhm.
this update finished rolling out on 20th of March. And there were three interesting highlights of this update that Google has publicly talked about. And
Mhm.
what's happened here is they have added three new spam policies. First one is the expired domain abuse, and what this essentially refers to is SEOs or a lot of internet marketing folks using high authoritative expired domains and then redirecting them to their websites. So
Yeah.
conceptually, Google is not against doing this, but what they mean here is let's assume you are able to get hands on a very high authoritative domain in the medical space, which has a lot of
Okay.
high quality, high authoritative backlinks. And let's say you run a news entertainment website. So using a medical website and redirecting it to your news website, that might not be the best solution, because contextually your website is not into the medical space primarily, which is why it is not a relevant redirect as per Google's recommendations. So
Got it. But
while you
with
can,
respect
yeah,
to, say, expired domain abuse, is it very common for Google to create a policy on it? Is it something that we've seen SEO agencies and even, say, SEO folks in a publisher office abusing it very often to draw
Mhm.
traffic?
So primarily, this policy comes after a lot of experimentation within the gray hat and the niche website building community. So publishers, not specifically large scale publishers, but people who are operating within certain niches, specifically focusing on affiliate content.
Got it.
These people within the SEO community or overall content community have abused the 301 redirection, domain level redirection tactic a lot. And over time, it has become a nuisance for Google to not have relevancy being passed from an expired domain to the new one.
Got it. And say with respect to the spam policy, they've have multiple ones. So I think site reputation abuse is another one that is also something that Google has rolled out. Can you speak a little about that?
100%. So site reputation abuse basically refers to nothing but specifically when you have a authoritative website, but you are using it for malicious purposes. Not malicious as such, but something like offering sponsored or advertised content without giving an explicit guideline to the readers about it. You can consider this as a more glorified way of selling backlinks from your website.
Got it.
And
So would that mean paid backlinks? I think Google has never had a positive view of that. It's always
yeah,
had an impact on paid backlinks. They've
correct.
dropped rankings. They've
Yeah.
probably had manual actions added to it as well. So it's basically a move to strengthen this and to discourage bloggers from doing this.
Well, that's one way to put it, definitely. But the larger goal here is what people have been saying for a very long time is, if you are a bigger brand and if you are engaging in a borderline gray hat tactics, it doesn't affect you as much as this as if you are a smaller publisher.
Okay.
So specifically, what with the site reputation abuse policy, what they are trying to do here is avoid parasite SEO tactic being explored a lot.
Got
So
it. So what is parasite SEO tactic? Please, if you
well,
could
yeah. So
clear that
basically,
up.
how parasites work, right? I mean, they'll latch onto a host and then
Hmm.
get power from the resources of that host. That's how a
Got it.
parasite grows. So in the same way, a smaller website or a smaller brand will get backlinks from a larger brand or a larger publisher, and that
Got it.
way that contributes to added authority for them. So a couple of examples of parasite SEO can also be Reddit, which
Hmm.
enjoyed like a crazy boost in terms of visibility since November, December last year. Same thing with LinkedIn Pulse, where LinkedIn opened up their platform last year for Google to crawl and access. And in the past year, we have seen LinkedIn Pulse's visibility in Google search explode massively. So
Got
that's
it.
also a few examples. Yeah.
Got it.
And one
Interesting.
specific interesting example that I would like to put here, there was a very well-known Indian publisher that
Hmm.
got flagged internationally for being a heavy parasite SEO. So I think that they were like people selling backlinks on that publisher's website for $200 to $250 per link. So
Mm.
That was massively flagged. I think probably they have stopped it or become very selective about it now, because I don't see as many people talking about it. But that was a very big thing that we have seen in the past 6 months happening. Yeah.
Got it. Now, you're mentioning the three spam policies, and the third one would be the scaled content abuse. And,
Yeah.
that is something that we're primarily going to base a lot of our discussions on today. So, scaled content abuse. I think few, people have already got the hint about it, but you can just elaborate on what Google is specifically addressing with this one.
Well, yeah. So with the scale content abuse, Google is referring to specifically about AI content generation, and secondly, targeting a little bit specifically onto programmatic websites. Because if you have a programmatic approach to creating content, and AI definitely aids in creating content at
Yeah.
scale, which is why Google wants to block it at the core, make sure people are not abusing it left and right, and there's a very healthy use of AI within content creation, or within the whole of your website operations. And what Google is trying to tell here is they are not specifically saying that they are against AI, but they are
Hmm.
against manipulative use of AI. So if you
Okay.
are just using AI to create unhelpful or content that is not valuable to the end user, that is not something Google is in support of.
So basically, if I were to think of it, usually like keyword stuffing, where you would stuff an article with keywords, what here you're doing with scale content abuse is you're tracking pretty much every keyword that is being searched and then writing content around it, primarily using AI, since you can do
Correct.
it at scale with AI writing tools that are available. And now Google has started flagging it. But
Yeah,
does
that's
Google still
exactly right.
main?
Yeah.
But Google, does it still maintain that if the content is helpful and it has been created using AI, is it fine with ranking it and indexing it,
Well,
or
yeah.
has Google
So
changed that stance?
they haven't changed that stand, surprisingly. I mean, obviously the actions are contradictory. We can't 100% say
Yes.
that they are in line with what they say. But what we can take away from the updates that are happening right now is that if you are using AI content smartly, you are applying more human resources to refine that content, make that content valuable to humans, have a unique perspective on that, then I don't think Google is still against that.
Mhm.
But yeah, to be honest, there are probably very few to zero examples which can actually back this recommendation from Google. So my stance on this still stays that be wary of AI
Yeah.
while
Using.
within your content creation approach. Yeah.
Got it. Because if even if we look at how AI generated content is produced, it's pretty much using the knowledge that's available out on the web, using it as their primary source of information, and then rehashing. I think that's the best way of
Exactly.
putting what AI is doing. It's rehashing content. So it's pretty much not going to bring in a unique perspective. Neither is it going to get any new point of view across. So I think it probably does not check Google's helpful content guideline, because of which
Yeah.
it's getting flagged. But before I get into the AI, how AI content is getting basically de-indexed or thrown out of sub pages, I want to ask this question from what I think a lot of publishers would also have is with multiple updates rolling out, like Google, I remember Google mentioned that they would never do multiple updates at once, but here we've got like multiple policies, multiple updates going on at the same time. And if a publisher is hit by it, how can they distinguish, or how can they understand which update is really causing it, and if there is a fix for them to do per
Mhm.
update, if there's a tip from your end?
Mhm. So to be honest, while an update is rolling out, the only way to ensure whether, uh, like assuming that there are multiple updates rolling out, as you mentioned, the only way to track it is identify the timelines when the updates got started, at what point are you seeing some ranking fluctuations, specifically uh, drops in rankings, and then tie it back to what's going on within the community as well? Because chances are people who are in a similar boat as you are, they are also seeing
Yeah.
very similar fluctuations. So Twitter is a great resource for this. People sharing insights on LinkedIn as well. So definitely these are two excellent resources. But the biggest one is your Google Search Console.
Yeah.
There is no better resource than that to plan and plot how your
Yeah.
website is performing over time. So that's one definite way that you can try and track it. But at the same time, try to see the larger impact. For example, people who have been hit within the first week of March, probably they have been hit through the spam system more than the core
Core update.
update. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But along with that, there was a very big issue that was seen here, that sites got de-indexed altogether from search.
Got it. So, so okay, now that you have brought that up, sites getting de-indexed, what are the reasons? And so, from the looks of it, once you're de-indexed from Google, you're pretty much getting no organic traffic at all. So,
Yeah, that's right.
and organic traffic, as you know, for most online websites, it's the biggest source of traffic for most of them. So, is this the first time Google has taken such an action, or has it been a similar approach that they've taken in the past as well?
Well, yeah. So when Google first introduced Panda, which
Mhm.
was probably their one of the first quality updates, that was 2010, 2011. And during that time was when people started seeing their websites getting de-indexed left and right. But it's more than a decade long, and today we are this is happening probably after 10, 15 years. And this time people are still wary, and there's a looming lack of clarity on why is that happening. Okay, so there have been different types of cases that have been happening here. So one case that was observed within the community is that sites got de-indexed altogether, no warning, no manual penalties, nothing like that. But then there was a second set of websites which got a
Mhm.
manual penalty.
Manual action. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So with the manual action, there was one specific warning that was shown as content is spam or content is misleading.
Got
So
it.
misleading one was triggered for websites that had some Google Discover traffic coming in, and the
Got it.
spam
It's
one.
primarily for that.
Yeah. So probably, but the larger thing here is that if you are in either of these boats, chances are you are probably affected by the core algorithm much more than the spam
Then the
update
spam.
primarily. Yeah.
Got it. And like you pointed out, the Google Search Console is the primary way because
Yeah.
for you to detect it. Because if your website's de-indexed, you're going to see your traffic drop to absolute zero. At the same time, a
Exactly.
manual action I think also gets highlighted in the Search Console for
Yeah.
the user to fix. I think if they were to go ahead and fix it, that Google can consider re-indexing the website as well.
Yeah, actually, one more easier way to, if you are very hands-on with your analytics tools, is to keep on monitoring your GA4 numbers. What are the real-time numbers looking like? Do you see any organic traffic coming in? Is
Yes.
it the same as what you were seeing the previous day at the same time? So these are some decent, at least borderline indicators, and primarily because Search Console data is a little delayed. I think there's
Yes.
48 hours or delay in that. So
Yes,
yeah.
the console data is definitely delayed. I think it's about 24 or 48 hours of delay between it versus, yeah, I think that's a very good tip for most digital publishers. You can look at your real time traffic on your website and see the source of that traffic. Because
Yeah.
if you have been de-indexed, your organic search is going to be zero. You're still going to get direct traffic and organic social traffic, but organic search is going to be zero. And if you're like most other publishers where your majority traffic comes through Google search, it's going to definitely show in the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, moving on with the update is why what has been the impact of this particular update so far, and why is the March update so complex compared to the other core updates that Google has released in the past?
Mhm. So, see, the complexity is primarily because if you look at Google's trajectory for the past 6 months since they rolled out the second phase of the helpful content update, people have been complaining about the type of results that are showing up. There's been a lot of influx and restlessness within the community of whether Google is actually showing us a decent level of quality that we deserve, that is really worth recommending. And that's the primary approach why Google might have taken such a drastic step in terms of adding multiple parameters and trying to build the helpful content system within the core algorithm. And I'll just quickly share my screen and show you a few examples of what's going on. So what we are also doing right now is we are running some studies at our end to just check how the landscape is changing, what type of sites are getting de-indexed or seeing negative impact of the updates. So with the core algorithm update, there are three, four things that are happening. First is improved quality ranking. And what this essentially means is they are improving their core ranking systems to be able to better judge and better sort out helpful content and show helpful results to their users. They have their core mission has always been that. So and again, Google's senior engineering team have said it in a statement that this latest update will reduce unoriginal and low quality content by up to 40% in their search results. So it's a
That's a
massive impact.
massive, yeah, it's a massive impact. So I would say, a lot of publishers, digital publishers, are going to worry about that 40% impact of traffic not being shown on, say, not being these links not showing up on Google search.
Yeah,
But I think it's a big advantage for digital publishers that are putting out original content, because this 40% of traffic that was going elsewhere, it's going to come to you, because that there's
yeah, yeah.
the other way of looking at things. So I think this should encourage more original reporting, exclusive reporting, or even analysis and thought pieces that are usually missing. What I'm also seeing is a lot of publishers tend to grab the low hanging fruit by using listicles, and
Yeah,
not really doing a lot of opinion pieces on it or an in-depth analysis, just because
correct.
in interest of time, because you're going to be able to churn out a lot more listicles, a lot more articles. Say, for example, if I would look at it from a consumer electronics perspective, a lot of it is primarily done around comparisons of the product with other products in the same price range, or it's going to be done as a gifting guide,
100%.
versus
Yeah.
having very specific thought on where the consumer segment is headed. So I think that is something that publishers should consider thinking, and that is because almost 40% of traffic is at stake, additional traffic. You can look at it that way. If you are
Exactly.
looking at
Yeah, yeah.
rehashing, so I think even for news publishers, if I were to add, a lot of the content is primarily either driven by wires. Of course, wires is the biggest source of the information.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you look at most news websites, the coverage is kind of similar. Of course, like they say, the early bird gets the worm. A lot of traffic goes to the first one. But if you were to bring a different perspective, if you were to also answer follow-up questions that people would have based on a particular
100%.
event, I think that is going to bring in a lot more traffic, especially from search now.
Oh, 100%. And it's I think we have brought up a very interesting point here about news wires. And
Mhm.
what Google has mentioned is that news wire content, they are not treating as unhelpful content. So even if the same newswire content goes on 10, 15, 100 publishers, that's still going to hold value for you guys. So you
You're
don't
right.
have to worry about the newswire content primarily because that's a lot of content if
Yes.
we consider a publisher's life cycle. But yeah,
Yep.
the keyword here being focus on your original content. How can you add your own perspective, your own flavor as a publisher to the content what makes you
Mhm.
stand out within the crowd, and what are your principles as a publisher. I think that's it's probably the best time to showcase that.
Yep, absolutely. I think news wires, like you said, is I'd say a significant chunk for publishers that are doing your general news. But if you look at publishers who are doing multiple niches, for example, sports, entertainment as well, so
Yeah,
you guys then have an option to bring a different perspective in. And I think it's going to be a great way to bring in new subscribers and new audience as well. It's going to be a shift
exactly.
from the original audience that you're getting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And see, ultimately, it's more of how you can become an expert within the industry. Uh,
Hmm.
what most publishers have cracked is being there in the industry long enough that they have created some level of existence for themselves, but having that unique branding and having people come back to you again and again for that specific feature or quality that you have, I think that's going to help them stand out. So that's, I think, something that a lot of publishers should. It's high time they should start focusing on that now.
Yeah. So,
But yeah,
something like that covered, like what has been the impact of
yeah.
the March core update?
Yeah. So one thing, the biggest one that we have seen is sites getting de-indexed. One of the earliest sites that got de-indexed was Freshers Live. This
Hmm.
website had like a huge organic impact. I personally have been seeing this site for more than 6 years now, working with a lot of Indian publishers. This Freshers Live was like a very direct competitor for us for a lot of media brands, and but yeah, I mean, there was always the question, right? What level of quality are they publishing with their content? They might be good at identifying trends, what topics to cover when, but what's the substance within that content? I think they have finally been caught up to that. And if you can see here on the right side of the screen, you see
Hmm.
this. This is where the update started rolling out. This slow dotted line on the right side,
Yeah.
this orange dotted line. After that, this is the core drop that you can see. The organic traffic is almost up to zero because Google started de-indexing all the pages. So the blue line is the organic pages, orange is the organic traffic.
So there's a sharp drop.
A
That's
massive drop, yeah, almost 6 million traffic per month, and that's probably to zero now.
and what is the main reason for this particular one? The
So
core update, of course, is the one, but what
yeah,
caused
so
it to dip?
content quality seems to be the bigger issue here. Not spammy content as much, or AI content also for that matter. They
Mhm.
were publishing a lot of high volume of content, but what was the value from that content? Value is something I think that was the missing factor in here.
Understood.
There's a second example though,
Mhm.
and this is specific to programmatic content creation and how can sites win in this. So there's this
Mhm.
website listennotes.com where you can actually search for your podcasts, get recommendations, and you can directly subscribe to these podcasts from here as well. So it's like a search engine for podcasts. And what if you can see here around the core update, their traffic has grown considerably. So they were at about 200,000 visits, organic visits, and now they are almost at 400,000 visits per month. The
Right.
bigger
That's
driver here is programmatic content created with specific users in mind, what their needs are, what type of content they are expecting, and the
Mhm.
site being able to ideally fulfill that. So user intent, keeping it at the major focus, I think that's the key for publishers to move ahead, or even large scale websites.
okay. So with this, the one question that comes to mind, and I'm just going to move back to this layout, is that a lot of publishers want to try out AI or have tried out AI in their publishing. is there a
Mhm.
mix that they can maintain, or is at this point is it like a hard strict no to any AI produced content? Because uh, AI has benefits. Should
Mhm.
we limit them to just before the publishing and not let it come into publishing, or is there a mix that, hey, say probably 1 in 10 articles can be AI written? I'm not sure. It's a very you can say it's a very dumb question, but I'm like, hey, is there any leeway, or is it a blanket, or those articles are going to get de-indexed, or the site-wide action might be taken? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah. Yeah, so actually, I mean, it's a very obvious and a very question that anyone would have at this point in time, where there's one side where Google is saying that okay, we are okay with AI content, but then
Mhm.
penalizing sites left and right. So my primary advice would be to take it with a hint of salt, with a pinch of salt, to and probably still wait it out a little bit. If you have a good ability to produce well researched human led content, I don't think there is any way for you to forage into AI at this point in time. Uh, but having said that, what you can also consider trying to do is think of what content can be generated by AI. From a human standpoint, try to do some inflection on this. For example, if you are a publisher, then if you are putting out content about reviews and product recommendations or comparisons, do you think AI is the best platform to create content for this type of content strategy? Like I would say it is not. So definitely think of what content can be explored. Probably some level of informative content can still be
Mm.
explored. Something
Right.
that doesn't need an expert to chip in and add value to it. But again, having said that, it's still uh, try to be cautious with how much content you are creating with AI, and definitely have a level of human intervention in that. Never use pure AI generated content as is, because that is the most ground level of spam that is out there. So that's a definite no. But yeah, so
Mm.
if you are having heavy human editing on this content, you can still make some use of AI, but try to think of what content can be there. For example, your news content cannot be AI generated.
Yeah. Yeah, it cannot be. The AI, I don't think AI has reached to that extent where live events is something it can cover as good as human written content.
Yeah,
But I do think you can use AI to probably fact check some of your content. You can
exactly.
use
Yeah, yeah.
AI to get different angles and different perspectives on the piece that you're covering. But
Yes.
it also leads me to this one question. Since we've been talking AI content, I think a lot of thing that comes to mind is AI text. What is Google
Mhm.
stance on AI generated images or AI generated videos? Because so far, we've seen impact of text, AI text. Now,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
look at AI generated images as a great way of say using your representational images instead of using the
Mhm.
same image. We've seen this with multiple
Yeah,
news publications doing it. When there's breaking news, you don't really have much to showcase, and we all
correct.
know that visual imagery is the great way of engaging your audience. So
Exactly.
what's Google's stance? See, I'm of the opinion that if you were to disclose it that it's an AI generated image that is purely for representational purpose,
Yeah.
it's fine by me. But is it fine by Google? Your thoughts, or is there any data out there?
Yeah, so there's no official commentary on, especially on the multimedia side of things.
Mhm.
But their policy has been standard, be it text, images, or videos. But yeah, I mean, definitely, sometimes it's not always possible for you to get exclusive imagery in specific situations like a breaking news. So definitely, you should consider using AI for generating images where you feel that you are not equipped right now to have a higher quality or have something that resonates to that specific event.
Mhm.
And I mean, a disclaimer is necessary, so there's no going away with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so think of what can AI do in terms of its image generation capabilities. So I'll give you a few examples. Uh, Images about personalities or brands, AI is still not able to do that.
Yeah.
So the chances of you getting more futuristic or caricature type of images, that's a lot more higher as compared
Yeah.
to getting more realistic images from AI.
Got
So
it.
yeah,
So it
may
might just
explain what is
be
first.
yeah, yeah, because even like you said, with respect to a personality, a famous celebrity or some sort, AI is still not there in terms of creating
Yeah.
an accurate image. But I was thinking of more with respect to, say, the markets, real estate, or a breaking news of an event that's happening. Probably
Yeah, yeah.
representational an image for that could probably pass off. But yeah, I think what we both stressed on is the right disclaimer, because that's your
Correct.
only get out of jail card from Google action at
Yeah.
that point, because Google has been very clear about it. Even I think if it were AI generated content, say for example, if you were to generate a highlight of an article using AI, I think it's fair to disclose it. I think even Amazon right now, it collates a review, all the reviews that uh, are there on a particular product. They collate the
Yeah.
review using AI, but there is fair disclosure of it. So I think it's
Correct.
probably they're expecting some sort of action if it's not disclosed. So I think yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why that's there as well. But
Yeah.
moving on, like what other impacts have we seen with AI generated content in bulk in specific?
Well, yeah. So sites that have been caught within the industry using AI. I think so.
Hmm.
One of a very clear example, a website called as Zebra BI. This is
Okay.
basically, I think, a SaaS platform that creates content for data analysis, be it in Excel or other tools. So you can
Hmm.
see the crazy trajectory here. The website started growing, getting more traffic from May 2023 onwards, and they
Hmm.
reached almost 600,000 visits till this was till almost mid February or end of February. And you can see on their web page they have clearly mentioned this is an experimental AI generated article, and they are still
Okay.
asking for feedback from users on this.
Okay. So even with disclosure, it's
Google
probably
still,
not going to work.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't
But
get the benefits.
one interesting thing that I see in this particular graph is that the rise in the amount of articles that have also gone in, the organic
Yeah,
pages.
correct.
So is that like it's a huge spike from May 23 onwards, where
Mhm.
the amount of articles that have been published have gone up
Correct.
significantly. If you look at the access for it, so about 7,500 articles or pages is something that they're going live with.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
also a signal to Google that hey, this is probably not human generated content?
So right now it's kind of speculation, but there are three, four theories that are going on within the SEO community. And yes,
Okay.
bulk publishing being a malpractice is definitely something that is being considered. Because so far the sites, like a lot of sites that have seen such a drastic decline in performance during the first days of the update, have a very similar pattern, especially in the programmatic site community. A lot of these sites have a model of bulk publishing pages over time. So I think this definitely is one uh, speculation.
Mhm.
Second speculation is also having ads. So, like a lot of media wine and ezoic publishers have seen drastic declines in terms of their visibility. So that's also
Yeah.
one big signal. Having a lot of ads making the web experience for your end users intrusive. That's also one probable signal that is being speculated. And I think these two are the biggest ones. But yeah, there was another one conspiracy theory. I don't know how much of that might be true.
Okay.
But there are a lot of bad actors or people who usually bend the rules within the SEO community, who have found ways that work, but the larger public might not know them. So Google is also going through their search console accounts and seeing which properties they are associated with, and then penalizing these. So that's also, again, it's a theory. There's no concrete evidence of that.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, it's a crazy space to be in right now.
Yeah, because if you think about it, Google, the Search Console itself gives Google access to all the other
Yeah,
properties that a current property is linked to. And if it's a particular publisher or a website owner who's running multiple websites,
yeah,
using this method is going. It's a sure shot way of tracking, because the only way you can also get data in Search Console is when you verify ownership. So this is like a clear way of them to also. It's an
exactly.
interesting theory. It's an interesting theory, but um, okay. So, yep, I think, yeah, you're going on to one more example.
Yeah,
And which one is this?
yeah. So this one is called Spreadsheeto,
Okay.
and this is like a competitor of Zebra BI. So what's happening? What's happened with them here is, while we can see the drastic decline for Zebra BI, there's
Hmm.
an equal uptick for Spreadsheeto. So you can see during the same timeline, they have gained almost 50,000 visitors during the same amount of time. And probably it looks like they'll still keep on gaining that position. So,
Got it.
but yeah, what's interesting here is that you can also see during October, Spreadsheeto
Hmm.
lost some visibility, which
Yes.
they have regained, it seems like.
Yes. But, I'm looking at this graph, Swapna, and there's also a abnormal spike in the amount of organic
Pages,
pages.
yes, yes. So
So,
one
and
reason,
there's also a drop. So, what
yeah, yeah.
what do you infer from this?
Yeah, so probably it looks like maybe the site was hacked and someone probably published a lot of misused pages on the site. It looks like a injection spam or something like that, where automatically a
Got
lot
it.
of pages get generated on your site, each of them with
Got it.
backlinks to different irrelevant sites. So I think it's a case of something like that, and
Got it.
probably within a couple of weeks or a week or so, where all the pages are tied down. So nonetheless, it's an interesting observation.
Yeah, because I thought, okay, hey, is it an experiment that they've done with AI generated content as well, causing it to
Yeah.
have traffic and then drop off? But okay, that's interesting to see, and I think it's a very good the correlation that you had between Zebra BI and
Yep.
Spreadsheeto is that when one digital website is losing out on traffic, the other ones who are on the right path are going to gain. So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
more of an incentive for a publisher in any niche, for that matter, to
Yep.
stick to doing what they do best and generate original content without relying
100%.
heavily on AI.
Exactly. And what's interesting about Spreadsheeto here is, if you take a quick look on their website, they definitely have one hard sell that they are giving to their visitors. That is, they are teaching Excel for free. And
Okay.
then there are different types of offerings that they have. They have free exercises. Then they have their own blog section, which is more like a guidance for individual specifics that you need to do in Excel. And then they also have an advanced course, which probably looks like it is a paid course. But there are multiple things that they are offering. There's a real person behind it, so there's definite level of trust that gets built in. This person has certain accreditations as well. He's a Microsoft Office specialist, and that to a certified one. Plus, you can see there's a lot of feedback from within the community in
Yeah.
forms of testimonials, and
Yeah.
then larger people from different organizations that have learned from him. So there's definite correlation between how you are able to showcase authority within the domain, how you are doing it different, be it the way you are creating your free content, what giveaways you are offering to the community, and
Yeah.
how you are going the extra mile in terms of creating your mark within the whole digital and internet industry.
Absolutely. I think it's basically a hat tip for EEAT signals. Like, you'll
Yeah,
they are a ranking factor. a crucial ranking factor for that matter. So that is something that needs to come through in the digital content that
Yeah,
publishers are posting.
I'm sorry. I'll just have to give you a little
Yeah.
context here. With the recent update,
Mm-hmm.
Google has also spoken that EEAT is not actually a ranking factor.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
there was a basic assumption that we all were going with,
yes.
but they don't have any parameter inbuilt within the algorithm that can grade you on EEAT specifically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what they are trying to do is there are multiple factors that are indicating EEAT to them. So the EEAT is still important, but it's not a ranking factor as of yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So looks like a lot of changes are happening, and
Oh
it's going to
yeah,
get
for
harder
sure.
to keep track of everything that's happening. But I think one interesting observation that I think we both observed when we were going through the notes that we were putting together is that the larger websites have been primarily unaffected by all of
That's
it,
right. Yeah.
and the smaller websites have seen the largest impact. So why is it so, and what? So I'll say why. I'll ask the why question, and then let's cover what can the smaller guys do
Yeah. Yeah.
to fix it.
Uh, well, I mean, see, at this point, there's what we can specifically do is still speculate. There's no clear answer. But one thing that differentiates the larger publishers is the level of trust that people have with them.
Yeah,
Uh, the existence of the brand in itself helps in creating a brand image, be it in real life or on the internet as well. So, if you see the larger bulk of larger publishers who have a positive reputation, they don't usually see heavy fluctuations during any of these algorithm updates. And one of the reasons also for that is Google having a heavy reliance on these publishers in terms of the data it gets, in terms of
got it.
monetization as well, for that matter. So that's something I think Google can't do too many
Change,
changes to.
or yeah, they cannot
Yeah,
impact
yeah,
that. Got it.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if you see the larger publishers also usually try and tend to play a little safe. Obviously, there are
Yeah,
one to two instances here and there where they will probably try to change or bend the rules a little bit.
yeah.
And
But
what's
I
also
also,
happening is
mhm. If I were
what's
to think of
yeah, yeah.
even AI generated content for that matter, the pure amount of content that these bigger publishers are putting out, even if a couple of articles are AI generated, it's probably not going to look significant in the amount of
Mhm.
articles that are pushed out. Like most large publications, I see are pushing out about anywhere from 80 articles a day to it can be as high as 150 articles a day. Whereas
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
smaller publisher, this number would probably be in the range of say 10 to 20 articles in a day. So I think is that also probably has a role on what gets detected, what gets flagged. Uh,
Uh, well, I mean, yeah, conceptually it sounds correct. But what I'll also tell you, working from my experience working with publishers, is that there's a lot of hierarchy, and ultimately everything is open to interpretation to the public. So anything in today's world, if a user is able to identify that it's not human generated, that will straight away go to
mhm.
social media. They will be flagged for it there, and that's what a lot of larger publishers want to avoid. So there's a lot of
Avoid, yeah,
strict policies within the whole publisher newsrooms as well, where they are very clear: if we are using AI, we'll definitely have to disclose it,
yeah,
or probably we'll have to at least tell them that okay, this is a test, we are testing with it. I think Sports Illustrated did a few tests. Bankrate also did a few tests with AI content, and
yeah,
in the end they noticed the effectiveness what was not as much. They were receiving a lot of flack within the community as well. So over time I think they both stopped doing it. So it's not I mean, it might be easy to think that okay, there's a dearth of content that you have to create, how would one
yeah.
article matter? but then even one article plays a significant role in tarnishing your image on the internet.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. Very well put there because if like one article can of course bring it all down, but if you
Yeah,
create like a very good strong article, those are evergreen articles. For example, they can reap
exactly.
you can reap the benefits for multiple years as long as it's good, genuine, helpful, and the impact is something that we've seen with niche players
Correct.
experiencing on good content. So that takes me to the follow-up question was what can smaller publishers do? Of course, they like you also hinted that they can't arm twist Google, or Google also has
Yeah.
a stake in bigger publishers. They cannot make massive changes over there. But with smaller publishers, it cannot be as I'd say uneventful. So what can
Yeah.
smaller
Yeah.
publishers do to ensure that their traffic does not get affected, and or what are the good practices that they should follow?
Mhm. Mhm. So there are three, four things that, as a small to medium publisher, you can definitely try out.
Hmm.
First, again, reiterating this from our last conversation as well, focus
Yep.
on importance of quality over quantity and prioritizing user intent. So try to make sure that your content, however small or long it be, it addresses the core problem of discussion, what your users
Yeah.
want. Are you providing that in the most easiest manner? Are you providing that in the most engaging manner as well? And that brings me to the second point, that is about content coverage. So within content coverage, make sure that you are adding depth to the content. You have a unique perspective. You are adding expert commentary wherever you can, and at the same time, think of how you are presenting your content. Whether is it the best possible content that an end user can consume? Are there any forms of multimedia that you can use to engage the user better or serve their intent better? Can it be explained via audio or video in a much better, much more easy to consume manner? So think of a level beyond Google. And
Mhm.
so my third recommendation here would be to focus on multiple platforms. And by
Got it.
multiple
So.
platforms, or other platforms, I would say multiple forms of content. So
Mhm.
you automatically go into different platforms. And again, Google themselves is trying to step away from textual content. You'll see videos popping up a lot. YouTube as a search engine, and video content at large is getting consumed probably at the highest levels right now. So there's no reason for you as a publisher to shy away from media assets like podcasts or videos.
Yeah.
Text is always going to be there, but yeah, think of what other forms of content you can use to engage your reader. What are the other areas that you can reach to your reader on? So that again brings me to my last recommendation here is go beyond SEO. Think beyond SEO. SEO for the larger part has been used and abused. Doesn't mean that you don't focus on SEO or don't follow basic search practices, but that shouldn't be the only channel you rely on. Think of promotional tactics like social media. There's a lot of engaging initiatives that you can do on different forms of social media. You have
Yeah.
YouTube channel, you have your own podcast channel. Try to understand how your audience thinks, what type of content would they be interested in consuming on that type of channel, and then serve
Yeah.
accordingly. Use interesting assets like your newsletter and push notifications. So
Yeah.
that's very underutilized channels to make sure that you are bringing in people who have already been a part of your brand and your journey, and how much are you investing in bringing them back to you. So because if they are already aware about you, there's a higher chance that they'll come back to you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I agree with your point on having different forms of content, primarily because text has become it's a known fact that one attention spans are dwindling, and when you have like a big wall of text, say probably a 1200-word article as well, it will look lengthy on a website, considering that you
yeah,
have got ad slots on the side and the top, and the content gets narrower, like it gets a tinier spot on the website itself, so that makes it longer. And without images, without supporting videos, it becomes tougher. I think. Would you also say the use of text to speech for make for users who would rather want to listen to the article instead of reading the whole thing, because that's like yet another form of engaging content. But of course, for say article coverage, videos would work well even if you were not. So I think one of the main reasons I've seen publishers shy away from video is because it's a very resource intensive
Yeah,
exercise. The equipment is quite expensive. Setting up a studio becomes expensive. Even editing machines, for that matter, when it comes to processing these video files, it's going to take significantly
mhm.
longer. And it's I think it's a challenge for most smaller publishers to push out
Yeah,
video content as quickly as larger ones, because they've got a media room full of video editors who, with very capable machines, can
correct.
put out video at a faster pace. And in the publishing industry, it's all about speed. So I think at this
Correct.
point, for smaller publishers, I can recommend using online video editors, using AI video editors as well to help you with those
Yeah,
smarter chops. Especially like Swapnil also pointed out, that you can leverage social media. So think about how you can repurpose your content. So if you were to shoot an animated video as well, for example, which can be done with AI, that can be repurposed for social media posts. If
yeah,
you were to
100%.
say record a video, it can be converted into a podcast as well. So I think um, distribution is as important as production. So that is something that publishers should also focus on. Just
I,
my take on it.
no, I think 100%. It's such a critical point, and I'll tell you from my experience and my conversations. Oftentimes, people ignore the power of distribution. They'll see one channel is working for them, and they'll just start focusing on that, and
Yeah.
they'll probably consume and use that platform so much that there's probably no other thing left to do there. So,
Well,
but rather a
honestly, if
better
you
strategy
think
is to
about it,
diversify.
if you think about it, that the one channel that, while you're saying that the one channel and people do the same thing, I'm thinking of organic search and SEO. Organic search is the one channel that people have been primarily focusing on, and
Yeah,
SEO is the same thing that they've done over and over again, seeing variable results with nothing that is constant. So at this point, I think, yeah, distribution is going to help you have some mind share in your audience, so that you then slowly convert them into your direct traffic, because
exactly.
your direct traffic becomes more and more important as we grow. Because if also, like some of the examples that Swapnil pointed out, the websites that have gotten de-indexed will still get traffic from direct and organic social. Of course, search is dead for them, but direct traffic is still pretty much theirs. And social traffic, well, till the time social media platforms don't have uh, their algorithm updates, which
Yeah.
impacts these guys. And I think that also, there's one follow-up question there, is there's nothing happening on social media with respect to AI content and algorithm updates, or is it still clear that you can generate AI content on social?
Uh, Social algorithms are still nascent on that, I think. But yeah,
Hmm.
their focus has been on making sure they are not pushing out spam results, something that is misleading. So there are a lot of efforts being taken on that. But yeah, AI content is bad is not the stand that social media platforms are taking. So that's one clear learning. But I'll just go back to our
Hmm.
discussion here, and
Yeah.
very interesting point that you pointed out about direct traffic. Okay,
Yes.
and what we are also seeing while analyzing our set of websites and within our industry is that websites that have branded traffic, the chances of them receiving negative impact in search is extremely low.
Why
So
is that so?
because the primary, see, what Google tells us is create content for readers, for your users.
Yeah.
And when people are coming to your website directly, or there are branded searches happening for your brand, that's an indication for Google that okay, this website is known within that community. People feel that they can trust this website or this brand, which is why Google also puts some level of trust in terms of how they are showcasing that website in organic search.
Interesting.